Here are the DRF race of the day for Thursday, November the 30th, race number 8 at Aqueduct. Let's throw up the field for this first level allowance, going a demanding mile and 3/16. 9 entered. Your morning line favors the number 1, Leading Contender, a horse that's done nothing wrong this year from 3 starts for Chad Brown, a win, 2 seconds, and a horse with a grinding style that indicates maybe this distance will be okay for him.
Yeah, and a really good sort of tactical running style, Dan, and a really good post toward the inside. There's upside here for Top Connections. I won't argue with him being the favorite in this race. I'm not sure how short I would go on.
Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector, because for a longer distance race, there is speed in here. The number 9, Suerte, is quick. Paddington, the number 4, has shown some speed in the past. The 7, Olympic Dream, has shown some speed. Personally, I think the 3, Mystical Curl, and a horse who I think was hampered by post position last time out from a pace standpoint, they're going to be aggressive with him.
Yeah, I can see that horse making the lead. We'll see. Maybe Suerte will be on ascend here, Dan. I think it would be a mistake from that outside post. I know he has speed. Maybe, Dylan Davis will get him out of the gate well here and they'll try for it, but he doesn't need to be ridden that way. This horse is fine sitting off of horses.
The one Leading Contender is going to be 5 years old in about a month or so, but I still think he has some upside. Let's watch his most recent start number 4 in his career. He turns into the stretch at Keeneland, going a mile and a 16th, in with a look, and he's going to end up just getting beat ahead while running second. He has earned some very competitive buyer speed figures.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing to knock about this race, Dan. He has no excuse here. I mean, he's second best in this race at even money. He got a good trip. He's right there with the winner to his outside at the top of the stretch, and he's outfinished by that horse. He's second best. 2 starts back at Saratoga, they went a mile late. He got a perfect trip in that race, but he got wired by an informed horse, Film Star. He was second best. He's got upside. There's a good trip coming. He could easily win here. Your call, how short you want to go on him on price.
Bold Victory is the number 2. He's won his last 2 starts, and he was claimed out of both races. Out of this race, he was reclaimed by Rick Dutrow. This race is for 25. Dutrow lost him for 12.5. He had no problems taking him back for 25, and now he's protecting him here in this first level allowance. He's in good form. He has to prove his mettle against tougher horses, but sometimes in Dutrow you trust.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm a big Bold Victory fan. The distance is no issue for this horse. He's obviously in good form right now. Man, I feel like this is a tough race for him. I like him and I like the form that he's in, but I've never really liked him against horses like this. This feels like a pretty tough field.
Let's talk a little bit about the 3, Mystical Curl, and who I thought was pretty game, winning at Saratoga, going a mile and an 8th 3 starts back. He then ran well during the Belmont at the Big A meet. Last time out was just a situation where he was hung 3-4 wide most of the way and didn't fire, because he at least had a look at it in the upper stretch, and he just could not go with Suerte late. I have a feeling he might be a need the lead type.
He might be. The trip, didn't do him any favors last time, but maybe he just wants to be a little bit more involved early. Let's just put it that way. He's got races that would make him really tough in here. I wonder, we saw the pace projector earlier, Dan, and obviously a lot of that depends on what they do with Suerte from the outside. I wonder if this pace works against him, though. I mean, if this pace is fast, it's not going to help his chances.
He has some back figures that make him very, very competitive. The question is, as Mike mentioned, will he get the right setup? Paddington is the number 4, another horse that's run some fast races, especially at Saratoga over the summer. He just dominated a starter allowance field in gate-to-wire fashion. Since then, he's caught 2 wet tracks in his last 3 starts. My issue is I didn't love his race 2 back.
I didn't either. That's a race that set up really, really well for him too, Dan. I mean, that's a race that, the pace was so competitive in there. The race totally fell apart late, and this horse felt like he was in a great spot. The horse that won the race came from last. He was the longest shot on the board and paid over $70. I don't know. I didn't think this horse ran well 2 back. You're talking about a horse who has 2 races on his card that make him really competitive in here. And in both of those races, he got absolutely loose on the lead against inferior horses.
Speaking of big prices, the 5, Believe in Josh, was the biggest at 65-1 at Finger Lakes last time out. He just was able to get to the lead. It was his first time on dirt going long. He got a very easy trip, just uncontested through slow fractions, but he doesn't look like a 65-1 shot in the stretch. He wins very easily. This is a big class test, however.
Yeah, just going to run up the score on this field. It's actually a pretty good looking performance. It doesn't come back fast against weaker horses, and it kind of feels like they're in over their head here, looking for a spot here at Aqueduct. I wonder if they'll even run him here.
I have some distance concerns about the 6 Funkenstein, but sometimes you just trust high percentage trainers. As we mentioned earlier, David Jacobson, one of the highest. Funkenstein making his third start off of a late spring layoff. He ran third last time out, going a 1-turn mile. A horse that I think can work on a decent trip from mid-pack. It's all about whether he's good enough.
Yeah, I question whether he's good enough. You never know with Jacobson, man. These horses just seem to jump up out of nowhere sometimes, and they do it at prices. I don't like this horse on paper, but maybe Jacobson will get him over the top.
I liked Olympic Dreams' performance, the number 7, 3 starts back at Saratoga. He was coming off of a little bit of a layoff. He pushed the pace. He always found a little bit more. His 2 subsequent starts, however, have not been great. One at Saratoga, an open first-level allowance, no match for leading contender. Maybe it was the slop. I don't think this horse likes a wet track, so I'm just going to throw the Empire Classic out. If he could somehow run back to that Fig 3 back, he's right there.
Yeah, and he's got more than one fig that makes him really tough in this race. For a horse who, the distance is no issue for him. I mean, I want to keep an open mind about him and then just wait and see how they bet the race, Dan. I'm with you on the last race. All right, wet track. Let's maybe put a line through it. He did not run well 2 starts back either, though. That really concerns me about him. I know his best race is good enough, though.
The 8 McAllen's a bit of an enigma for trainer Todd Pletcher. I think it's a very good sign that he's back without another layoff, because it seems whenever Todd gets him going, he's got to go right back to the sidelines. His last race was just weird. He looked like he was finished at the 5/16 pole, spinning his wheels. But once they got into the straight, he fired hard in the last quarter mile. He'll stay. He's going to get a setup in here. I don't know how short I would go with him, but I think he's going to fire a good shot second off the bench.
We feel the same way about him. I'm also not, I know he's stretching out off of a couple of his last 2 races are 1-turn miles. He's stretching out here. I'm not worried about that. He's bred to handle this distance. His last race is a little confusing. Maybe it was the wet track then. Maybe he wasn't comfortable with the footing. Maybe he just doesn't run the turns that well. I don't know, but you can go back and pull that replay. Anybody who's got the formulator PPs up for that race, he was rolling through the stretch in there.
And your free formulator PPs, just click on the comment line and you'll get the video and see what Mike and I are talking about. Suerte is the number 9. He's the gray in this first level allowance race at Aqueduct, going 1 mile and an 1/8 earlier in the month. He pushed this horse on the rail, Mike. He looked to be going a little bit better on the turn. I didn't love the way he finished. He's in between horses. I thought he was very lucky to get second from this horse on the rail. He just doesn't finish it off.
Yeah, he doesn't. He was involved all the way around the track, though. And again, you don't have to ride this horse that way, then. In his last 2 starts, they've just gotten really aggressive with him at the start. And those are races, both of them are races that went to closers. Go back to the race off the layoff, first time for Maker at Saratoga. I know it was an off-turf race. He sat a perfect trip right in behind the lead. He was very comfortable doing it. They took him clear. He rolled. They could do that here. I'll admit, I have a little bit of a thing for this horse. I've bet him in his last 3 dirt starts, and I think he's run well in all of them.
Note that Dylan Davis was aboard for the race Mike was discussing, that off-turf race where he rated. And I have a feeling that Dylan's going to have that in the back of his mind when they break here. Try to get position, but not necessarily go all out for the early lead, especially with plenty of speeds to his inside. Before we get to our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time. I'm hoping McAllen runs a complete race. He didn't do it last time out. He only ran the last quarter of a mile, because if he does, with the setup he's going to get, and I think some of the races he's run in the past, he'll be tough to down.
We look at him the same way. He's the horse I wanted in here too. I'm just going to hope that he can, sit a little bit of a better trip and be within range this time. Not, way against the favorite on the rail. I just didn't really want to bet him at a short price.
Mike's going to go 8-1-9-3. I'll go 8-7-1-9. Maybe Olympic Dreams will improve a little bit, getting back to fast footing. Fun race, our Thursday race of the day, going 1 mile and 3/16. The Big A. Best of luck.